The Prime Minister has addressed the Parliament in Guyana, the Prime Minister's 14th speech before a foreign legislature, offering prayers also at the Saraswati Vidya Niketan. He is the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Guyana in over 50 years. He's also spoken about how grateful he is for the honour that was bestowed upon him as far as the relationship and ties are concerned, which date back to 180 years when the first Indian had visited the country. Now, he has talked about, the relationship since. He's also spoken about how humanity comes first, and let's just listen into what the Prime Minister had to say. He went on to say that democracy first and humanity first. That is the measure, that is the message that the Prime Minister put out in his trip.
गयाना की इस ऐतिहासिक पार्लियामेंट में आप सभी ने मुझे अपने बीच आने के लिए निमंत्रित किया। मैं आपका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूं। साथियों, भारत और गयाना का नाता बहुत गहरा है। करीब 180 साल पहले किसी भारतीय का पहली बार गयाना की धरती पर कदम पड़ा था। भारत और गयाना का रिश्ता आत्मीयता से भरा रहा है और जो बात मैं कभी नहीं भूल सकता और वो है चटनी। चटनी भारत की हो या फिर गयाना की, वाकई कमाल की होती है।
And Prime Minister Modi also paid a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi at the Promenade Garden in Georgetown, at his statue in the historic area as well. And he recalled Mahatma Gandhi's eternal values of peace and non-violence, which continue to guide humanity. The statue was installed in commemoration of Mahatma Gandhi's 100th birth anniversary in 1969.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just concluded his 6-day trip, starting from Nigeria, a West African nation, then to Brazil to attend the G20, and now in the last leg of the trip, he also visited Guyana. The Guyana, South American country, it also holds relevance because it has got a lot of natural reserves, and India is also trying to forge an alliance with these South American countries for getting more reserves, for more natural resources for India, and also to diversify its partnership when it comes to defense, space technology, clean energy. So these were the issues which the Prime Minister spoke about in this entire trip. What stood out in this entire trip was that how Prime Minister spoke about the global conflict, how to move towards cleaner energy, but a special reference for his visit in Guyana. Prime Minister Modi also happens to be the only Indian Prime Minister who has the record of addressing the highest number of foreign parliaments, and he also addressed the Parliament of Guyana, where he spoke about that how India and Guyana have a shared history, how India never approaches or never promotes the idea of expansionism or capturing natural resources in other territories. So it was also a kind of a message which the Prime Minister of India was giving to its immediate neighborhood in Southeast Asia. We see the conflict of involving China in South China Sea and how it is having troubled relations with its neighborhood in Taiwan or with Tibet. Besides that, he also spoke about that how democracy is in our DNA. He spoke about that India and Guyana both share a very special reference when it comes to democracy, and also Prime Minister spoke about that both India and Guyana have a lot in common, and today both the countries are strengthening democracy in the world. And the Prime Minister also emphasized that India's stance against expansionism and capturing natural resources in another territory has always been on the other side, like India has never promoted that. Besides that, he also said that it is not the time of war, hinting towards the global conflict, be it in Russia and Ukraine or in the Middle East, that how Israel and Hamas are fighting in Gaza. Then you have a conflict going on between Israel and Hezbollah, which Lebanon is suffering for all this while. So Prime Minister spoke on multiple issues, but this trip will certainly be important for the fact that India is trying to look for new alliance partners, not just in immediate neighborhood or West, but in countries where there has been no representation of Indian leaders for a very long time, because Guyana happens to be a country where an Indian Prime Minister has visited after 56 years.
Following a packed day of fruitful bilateral engagements on Wednesday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi continued his historic state visit to Guyana with an address to a special sitting of the National Assembly. During his remarks, the Indian leader underscored the importance of democracy and humanity for both national and global development, as well as the key roles of women and youths. He also highlighted that Guyana could serve as India's gateway into the South American and Caribbean regions. Prime Minister Modi also visited key historic sites such as the Mahatma Gandhi statue and the Arya Samaj monument in Georgetown, as well as the Saraswati Vidya Niketan school, where he had spent some time during his last visit to Guyana 24 years ago. The Prime Minister wrapped up his high-level visit in Guyana by engaging current and past Guyanese cricket icons and also prominent members of the Indian diaspora in Guyana. Prime Minister Modi said this visit, which is the final leg of his foreign tour, will not only build on the already strong bilateral relations at a government-to-government level, but also enhance people-to-people and cultural ties between Guyana and India. Modi is the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Guyana in 56 years. Approximately 40% of Guyana's 800,000 population are of East Indian descent. As shown upon his arrival Tuesday evening, as well as throughout his stay in Georgetown, Prime Minister Modi's visit was highly anticipated, especially by the Indian diaspora here. I am Vanumanik Chand, reporting from Georgetown, Guyana.